The chrome elevator dinged softly as it ascended to the penthouse floor of Sunset Heights. I adjusted my simple pearl earrings, the same ones I wore when signing the acquisition papers for this property 6 months ago. The security guard gave me a puzzled look as I stepped out, clearly wondering what a woman in modest jeans and a casual blazer was doing in Manhattan's most exclusive residential tower. "Ma'am, this floor is private access only," he started to say. I smiled. "I'm here for the housewarming. Amanda Williams invited me." He checked his tablet, eyebrows rising. "Oh, you're David's ex-wife." "That would be me." The guard's uncomfortable expression told me everything about how Amanda had likely described me when submitting the guest list. I could have mentioned that I'd personally approved his recent raise. But where's the fun in that? Amanda's voice carried through the open penthouse door, crystal clear and dripping with manufactured charm. "And this is our private terrace, darling. The views are simply impossible to get anywhere else in the city." I followed the sound of expensive heels clicking on marble floors. The penthouse had been beautifully renovated. I should know, I'd signed off on the $2 million upgrade myself, though the current tenants had no idea who really owned the building. "Oh," Amanda's perfect smile froze when she saw me. "You actually came." She stood surrounded by 4 women who could have stepped out of a luxury magazine, all of them clutching champagne flutes and wearing expressions of carefully curated superiority. My ex-husband David was nowhere in sight, probably still at the office, where he'd been spending most of his time lately, according to my sources. I brought wine. I held up the bottle, not the cheap stuff they probably expected, but a vintage from my private collection that cost more than Amanda's monthly lease. How thoughtful. Amanda took the bottle with 2 fingers, like it might bite. "We were just finishing the tour, though I'm sure it's quite different from what you're used to." One of her friends, a redhead wearing enough diamonds to fund a small country, tittered. "Amanda told us you live in one of those adorable little townhouses in Brooklyn." "Queens, actually," I corrected mildly. "Would you like to see pictures?" Amanda's eyes lit up with malicious glee. "Oh yes, ladies, you must see Sarah's. Charming little place. Show them." I pulled up photos of my modestly furnished townhouse on my phone. It was comfortable, clean, and deliberately understated. Nothing like the marble and crystal fortress we were standing in. "Oh my," another woman peered at the screen. "Is that IKEA furniture? And those curtains." Amanda couldn't contain her smirk. "Did you make them yourself?" "I did," I said proudly. "Just like I make my own coffee every morning instead of having it delivered." "Well," Amanda handed my phone back like it was contaminated. "We can't all live like this. Some of us have standards to maintain." Speaking of standards, one of her friends chimed in. "Amanda was just telling us about the exclusive residence committee she's joining. Only the most qualified people are invited." I bit back a smile, remembering the committee application I'd rejected just that morning. How fascinating. "Tell me more about that." Amanda preened. "Well, it's very exclusive. We'll be making all the important decisions about building improvements, resident selection, that sort of thing. Not that you'd understand property management. If she only knew how many properties I managed. Though I must ask," I said innocently, "isn't the committee application deadline today? I hadn't heard about any approvals yet." Amanda's smile flickered. "Well, it's practically a done deal. Everyone knows the owner only approves the most elite residents for the committee. And since we have the penthouse—" "The owner?" I raised an eyebrow. "You've met them." "Well, no," Amanda admitted. "Some investment group owns it, but my real estate agent assured me they only deal with the very best people." One of her friends wandered over to the wine I brought, eyes widening as she read the label. "Amanda, this is a 1982 Lafayette Rothschild. It's worth thousands." Amanda's perfect composure cracked slightly. "That's impossible. She lives in Queens." "In my simple townhouse," I agreed, "with my IKEA furniture and homemade curtains. Would you like me to open it? I have several cases in my cellar." The atmosphere in the room shifted subtly. Amanda's friends exchanged glances, their certainty about exactly who and what I was beginning to waver. "David told me you got almost nothing in the divorce," Amanda said sharply. "That you could barely afford a lawyer." "Did he?" I sipped my champagne. "How interesting. Did he also tell you about the mysterious investor who bought out his company's debt last year? The one who's been quietly acquiring properties all over the city?" Amanda's face paled slightly. What are you talking about? Before I could answer, her phone chimed. She glanced at it, and the color drained completely from her face. This must be a mistake, she whispered. What is it, darling? One of her friends asked. My committee application. Amanda's voice shook. It's been denied. But that's impossible. They said the owner found my references unsatisfactory. References are so important, I mused. Almost as important as paying your lease on time. You are planning to pay on time this month, aren't you? Amanda's perfectly manicured hand trembled as she set down her phone. How did you know about the late payment warnings? The bounce check last month? The way you've been borrowing from your friends to maintain this lifestyle? I smiled serenely. Let's just say I take a very active interest in property management. The pieces were starting to fall into place behind her eyes. No, she whispered. No, that's impossible. I set down my champagne glass and pulled out my phone, quickly typing a message to the building manager. Seconds later, Amanda's phone chimed again. Her friends huddled around as she read the message aloud. Dear Mrs. Williams, this is a courtesy reminder that all resident concerns should be directed to building management, not to other tenants. Regards, Thomas Williams, property manager, on behalf of SK Holdings. SK Holdings, I said softly. Sarah Kennedy Holdings, but you can just call me Sarah, or David's ex-wife who lives in Queens. I answered to both. The silence that followed was absolutely perfect. Amanda's friends suddenly found urgent reasons to leave, their designer heels clicking rapidly across the marble floors. Within minutes, the penthouse was empty except for Amanda, who stood frozen by the floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city skyline, my city skyline. How? She finally managed, her perfectly glossed lips trembling. David said you were nothing, just a housewife who got lucky with a small settlement. I settled onto her imported Italian leather sofa, amused by how quickly she'd forgotten to act superior about my presence on her furniture. David says a lot of things, like how he built his company from scratch. Funny how he never mentioned the angel investor who provided his startup capital 15 years ago. That was you. Through a shell corporation, I confirmed. One of many. I was already successful when I met David, but I kept it quiet. I wanted someone who loved me for myself, not my bank account. I laughed softly. Ironic, isn't it? Amanda sank into the chair opposite me, her designer dress wrinkling. The company's debt last year, when everything almost collapsed. David made some risky investments, I said. He was about to lose everything, including this lifestyle you're so proud of. So I bought the debt through another corporation. He has no idea his ex-wife saved his company. Why? Her voice cracked. Why would you help him after you left me for you? I raised an eyebrow. Because contrary to what you believe, Amanda, success isn't about crushing people. It's about knowing when to show mercy and when not to. Her phone chimed again. She checked it, her face growing even paler. The lease renewal terms, she whispered. They've doubled. Market rates, I said mildly. This is a premium property after all, as you're so fond of reminding everyone. We can't afford this. Panic crept into her voice. David's company is still recovering and my shopping. She cut herself off, but not before I caught the admission. Your shopping habits? Yes, I know all about those. The credit card debt, the secret accounts, the loans from friends. Did you think no one would notice? Tears threatened to ruin her perfect makeup. Please, you can't do this. This address, this lifestyle. It's everything. Everything? I stood up, walking to the windows. You know, when I bought this building, I came to inspect it first. I wore jeans and a t-shirt. Your doorman wouldn't let me in. Said this building was for quality people only. I'll speak to him, Amanda said quickly. I'll make sure everyone knows to respect you. Missing the point again, I sighed. I don't care about being respected because of my money. I care about basic human decency, something you and David seem to have forgotten exists. What do you want? She whispered. Name your price. I turned to face her. What I want is for you to remember this moment. Every time you're tempted to judge someone by their clothes, their address, their job, remember that the woman you mocked might own everything you hold dear. Amanda's shoulders slumped. Are you going to evict us? That depends, I picked up my bag, on whether you're capable of learning from this. The lease renewal isn't just about money, Amanda. It's about character. Show me you have some, and we can talk. How? Start with the resident committee you were so excited about, the one that only accepts elite members. I'm dissolving it. Instead, I'm starting a community outreach program. All residents will be required to volunteer monthly at local shelters and community centers. Required? She looked horrified. Consider it a condition of your lease, I smiled. Oh, and those designer charity galas you love hosting? From now on, an equal amount of whatever is spent on the event must be donated to actual charities. No more writing off your parties as tax deductions without real contributions. The elevator dinged and David's voice carried down the hallway. Amanda? Why are all these messages about lease renewals? He stopped dead in the doorway when he saw me. Sarah? His face went through a remarkable series of expressions. What are you doing here? Just having a chat with your wife about property management, I said cheerfully. She's learning quite a lot about responsible homeownership. Property management? He looked between us, confusion evident. What's going on? Your ex-wife, Amanda said quietly, owns Sunset Heights, and apparently most of the city. David's briefcase hit the floor with a thud. That's impossible. The owner is SK Holdings, I finished. Remember that mystery investor who saved your company last year, the one you told the board was a business genius? Hello, darling. I walked to the door, pausing beside my shell-shocked ex-husband. Oh, and David. The board meeting next week. Don't be late. I hate when my subsidiaries run behind schedule. As I waited for the elevator, I heard Amanda's voice, small and uncertain. What are we going to do? Learn, I called back, stepping into the elevator. Or start apartment hunting in Queens. I hear it's quite charming this time of year. The doors closed on their stunned faces and I smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't taking everything from people. It's teaching them the value of what they never appreciated in the first place. 6 months later, I sat in my favorite coffee shop in Queens, enjoying my morning routine of homemade muffins and watching people hurry past the window. My phone buzzed with a message from my building manager. Mrs. Kennedy, thought you'd want to know. Mrs. Williams spent 3 hours at the homeless shelter yesterday. Served meals, helped organize the donation closet. No complaints, no photographers, no social media posts. I smiled into my coffee cup. The transformation hadn't been immediate, of course. The first month after my revelation, Amanda had tried to rally the other residents against the new community service requirements. When that failed, she attempted to find loopholes, even sending her housekeeper to volunteer in her place. But something changed after her first visit to the shelter. Maybe it was the single mother who reminded her of herself before David. Maybe it was the elderly veteran who shared stories of his own fall from fortune. Whatever it was, she started showing up without prompting. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was an email from David. Quarterly reports attached. Companies up 15% since implementing the employee benefit program you suggested. The daycare center for staff is at full capacity. You were right. Happy employees make better profits. Who knew? I archived the email without responding. David had learned to run his company ethically, or at least he was learning. That was enough. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed, and I looked up to see Amanda walking in. Gone were the designer labels and excessive jewelry. She wore simple slacks and a sweater, her hair pulled back naturally. Mind if I join you? She asked, gesturing to the empty chair at my table. I nodded, curious. This was the first time she'd sought me out directly since the revelation. I sold my designer collection, she said without preamble, sitting down. All of it. The handbags, the shoes, the dresses I wore once and forgot about. Oh? The money paid off my credit cards, she continued, and there was enough left over to fund a job training program at the shelter for the women trying to get back on their feet. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or a hidden agenda. I found none. That must have been difficult for you, I said carefully. Less than I thought it would be, she admitted. It's funny. I spent years trying to prove I was worth something by showing off what I owned. Now I'm learning what it means to actually be worth something. The waiter brought her coffee in one of the shop's chipped mugs. She didn't flinch or ask for a different cup. David and I are in counseling, she said after a moment, separately and together. We're learning a lot about ourselves, about why we needed to make others feel small to feel big. And how's that going? It's hard, really hard, but necessary. She took a sip of coffee. The lease renewal is coming up next month. It is. We'd like to stay, she said quietly, not because of the address or the status anymore, but because I think we still have a lot to learn. And this community you've built, the one we used to mock, it's teaching us something valuable. I pulled out my tablet, bringing up the lease agreement I drafted that morning. The rent's going up again. She nodded, unsurprised. We can afford it now. We've been living more modestly, saving instead of showing off. There's also a new clause. I turned the tablet toward her. All residents must participate in monthly financial literacy workshops at the community center, teaching others what they've learned about responsible money management. Amanda read the clause, then looked up with the ghost of a smile. You never stop teaching lessons, do you? Life never stops teaching lessons, I corrected. I'm just passing them along. She signed the lease, then stood to leave. At the door, she paused. Thank you, she said softly. Not for letting us stay, but for showing us a better way to live. I watched her walk away, noticing how she stopped to help an elderly woman cross the street. No cameras, no audience, no performance. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about helping them destroy the worst parts of themselves. I finished my coffee and headed home to my simple townhouse, where my handmade curtains lit in the morning sun, and my IKEA furniture held more comfort than any designer piece ever could. Success isn't about what you own, it's about owning who you are.